Good morning, friends and foes. Also, all you gurus, gnomes, and trolls. So yesterday we had a marvelous day up Castle Island. Karen and I went up and she met cousin Nancy, the original Nancy. I flicked something out of the way. Somebody's messaging me 5:30 in the morning. Anyway, we get to meet the baby Natasha, her granddaughter. Oh, she's amazing. She's beautiful. She didn't take to me right away, and then I just realized what it was. Most of the time, kids look at me and they laugh. I just assume they're not making fun of me, but anyway, it's usually the Christmas beard, and they think I'm Santa Claus. I've had kids point and look and say, Santa Claus, you know. After a while, she kind of took to me, but she thought about it for a while. She's McDonough. She's a dubious person. She wants to make sure everything's safe. That's how we are. Also, cousin Eileen was up there, and we met a few of her friends, and it was nice. It was windy, but it's the island, so it's almost always windy. Oh, good. Turbo just entered the room. Here he comes, I think. You coming up? What are you sniffing? Anyway, I had a chocolate shake, and I ordered this crab sandwich. And I'm sorry for the price. I'm not recommending it. Oh, I thought it was going to be like a crab roll kind of thing, whatever, but it was like a crab cake, and it was about the size of a Eisenhower dollar, and it was okay, but I don't know. It might be might be new to their menu. I don't know, but I'm not recommending it. Anyway, took a walk around, looked at the playground. The kangaroo's still there. One of the others of the Swiss cheese. Now, us older folk remember when the Swiss cheese was put in. So you know what it is. So I'll have to explain it to you younglings. Somebody came up with the idea to pour concrete into molds to put them on playgrounds for children. Hello, Turbo. How are you? Kiss. Go ahead. Anyway, yeah, concrete to climb on. See, back then, we didn't die from oversensitivity. Though I did smack my head a few times in it, but they had various animals, kangaroos and turtles. And I don't know, the elephant was still there too. The elephant, what is it? You have something to say to the people? No, he's just, Karen's still asleep, of course, so, yeah. He's very insecure, you know that? Yeah, he'll just sit there for a while until I scratch his head or something. Anyway, yeah, poured concrete. I mean, they've gone through various stages of different playgrounds over the years. And I remember the one when they did the wood, you know, and after like 10 years, they found out that the wood had a preservative in it, and it was arsenic. So they had to rip them all down. Then they had the plastic playgrounds. So I just think it's funny that they replaced most of the playground up the island with other stuff, but they kept the kangaroo, apparently, and the elephant. And they're also shaped like the letters K, E. Can you move that? Thank you. Go do something constructive. Like a cat ever did anything constructive in his life. All right, I think he's going back in the bedroom. He's been up for 2 minutes. He's probably exhausted. So anyway, we took a nice walk around and talked, and you know, but a lot of stuff, just a lot of catching up. She's a hoot. Nancy is funny, and I just can't believe how all of us McDonoughs and cousins are alike. And the Griffiths too, they're cousins, you know, and our skepticism, our sarcasm, our dubiousness, our suspiciousness. It's really, really funny. It's really funny. We had some good parents. You know, we had some good parents. You know, we're talking about them. You know, and my mom's still around, of course, still going strong. Still going strong. So I'm building her Christmas village. And I got some nice stuff already. I probably mentioned that. I will repeat myself. I'm not a young man. I will repeat myself. Can you see all my blankets up there? I am so cold all the time. And it's a funny thing, yesterday I was not cold at all up the island. I had my wool pea coat on. I had this on, of course. This is one of my chemo shirts. A Liverpool shirt. Liverpool FC. See this? Liverpool I picked because that's where my grandfather lived for a time before he came over. Came over means immigrated. It's just came over the ocean. But anyway, yeah, they've been my team for a long time. I wish they had it organized when I was a kid. I think I would have really enjoyed playing it, though. I love my baseball. Still love my baseball. Still waiting for, like, opening day. I've been to several opening days over the years because people, Bostonian people that I work with, absolutely hated the Red Sox. And they would get tickets and they would find me because they thought I was, like in work, I was the only Red Sox fan. And honestly, I was. I really was. It was crazy. Half of the people in there were Lakers fans. But it was Celtics all through the 80s. Yay, Celtics. I had season tickets one year, 1986, so I've been to a World Series. Unfortunately, they didn't win then, but they have since. But, not this generation below me, but the next one now will never know. They'll never know what it was like having to wait all that time. But anyway. Yeah, I was half asleep when they won the first one. I was working third shift then. I was trying to watch the game, but it was so nice. But the Bruins this year, they're amazing. They're amazing. They wanted a shootout yesterday. But honestly, I've been watching since 1970. And they have to be the best put together team. And even the pickups that they're doing at the last minute, it's been working out. It's been working out, I haven't always been a fan of Mr. Sweeney, but, they've really been playing, like super strong, super well. 50-goal scorer, then 51. Gotta love it. So, anyway, I was wondering what else I might actually talk about. Yesterday, talking to Nancy, I noticed they had a windmill thingy on top of a pole at the island that's just for like emergencies, like it's everybody's cell phone is dead. I think there's something you can call the cops or whatever. They have them like in the parking lots of Walmart and everywhere. They usually have a blue light on it, but I remember thinking that the phrase renewable energy. Now I know somebody's gonna think to themselves, maybe the one or two people that watch this, explain to me that my thoughts or my definition of this phrase is wrong, but renewable means you have to make it new again. I'm pretty sure. So they're doing a play on words. So you're saying that you have old energy that's just been lying around, kind of worn out, kind of old, not doing anything. So you've got a process to make this old energy new again. Renewable. So tell me, after the electricity runs out and the gas runs out and the coal runs out, so sorry, but they still use coal in this country. How do you renew that? How do you make it come back? How do you make it reappear? You can't. It's a bullshit term, people. Bullshit. So in 2035, I think it is, California is going to go completely electric on their cars. So riddle me this, Batman. How do you folks think all this electricity is going to get made then? Huh? 2035. What is the price of diesel fuel then? Because honestly, diesel fuel is also another product that they use to make electricity. What do you think the price of natural gas is going to be. Because, see, we're sitting in this country on top of a crap load of natural gas, a shitload of oil, an incredible amount of coal. Incredible amount of coal. And we don't use our own. So what do you think the Middle East or Russia, or by then it'll probably be the new Soviet Union, was loaded with gas, loaded with oil, loaded with gas too, I think. What do you think they're going to charge us then for our all-electric cars? Here's a thought. Maybe start moving closer to work. Because in our 2035, do you think the T is actually going to still exist? It's crumbling as it is. They can't get anybody to run the thing. The salary's only like $350 a year, $350,000. That's crazy. It's crazy. Every part of the T was a bankrupt or derelict system that was cobbled together because people still needed it to go to work at the time because not everybody still had a car. My father used to catch a streetcar up on West Broadway that he could take all the way to work. He worked in Watertown. One streetcar. Can you imagine that? But they got rid of the streetcars. They paved them over. But here's a clue. Yeah, they paved them over. They're still on all these streets, pretty much. Streetcars were good. They were good. But they replaced them with buses. And they changed the routes. And, you literally used to be able to crisscross towns from East Boston to Everett to Chelsea to, like anywhere. And when they all started up, they were all separate companies. They were all separate lines. One of them in Boston was called the West End Railway. That was a streetcar line. Again, back in 1845, the Old Colony Railroad started. And it started, actually, the end of it was Boston, not the beginning of it. So it began way down. I'm trying to think of the farthest part. It was nearly Rhode Island. But I think from there, from where it ended, you picked up another train maybe, and you went on down to Rhode Island. But the thing, the system was immense. This was the beginning of the T, was the Old Colony Railroad. And from Southie down to at least Raynham and probably Taunton, Old Colony Aves still exist. Everybody knows one in Southie. Well, there's one in Quincy. And it continues down. It gets broken up in different places, but it's on the original, where the original train line was. And when I lived in Raynham, I lived like not even an eighth of a mile away from Old Colony Ave. I thought that was hilarious. It ended at Middleborough Ave, and I was off of Middleborough Ave, But I remember going out and looking at the place, I see these street signs saying Old Colony Avenue. It was also on a Colony Terrace. I know I talked about this before, but I love the railroad. I have a membership, yearly membership to the Seashore Trolley Museum up in Maine. We've also been to other trolley museums. I just got hooked on trains. My parents took me to Steamtown up in Vermont. And while I'd ridden trains before and everything, it was going on an old steam locomotive going over this huge gorge, looking down hundreds and hundreds of feet down. And this thing was so heavy on what looked like nothing, a bunch of ladders screwed together to make this railroad bridge, and it just hit me. It just hit me. These things are amazing. Puffing smoke, black smoke, white smoke, making so much noise. Just sitting in the car, the whistle's blowing every so often. Yeah, just love it. Seashore Trolley Museum has a connection to South Boston. And that a lot of guys volunteered to work up there that had worked for the T. They actually have a barn up there. It was called the South Boston South Boston barn, South Boston car house. Well, they recently tore it down and built a brand new one. And I can hardly wait to go see it. It's just a shed, a huge, huge shed, but I mean, I can hardly wait to see it. You go up there, we take the little ride down, we come back. Karen thinks I'm a nut, probably. And what I've been doing lately, everywhere I go, I've been stashing the magnets. I've been doing this for like a year now, I think, of the Hall of Distinguished Gentlemen. And I put them up in the gift shops, and I just wonder, like, if anybody's trying to buy any of them. I got the new Scotty C-Note ones. I mean, those things should go for $30-$35, if a penny. He's so handsome. You better behave. You hear me? You better behave. So, anyway. Oh, yeah, I love the trains. I hate buses. The T-buses. I do okay in the coaches. But the T-buses, car sick. Anytime I ever had a ride. Anytime. Just so smelly and filthy and disgusting. But anyway, we're taking a train down to New York to see a musical. Back to the Future musical. So trains, Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies. Going with Karen, of course, that's number one. Not sure what we're going to eat or we're going to go down there, but I love going to New York. It's funny, I remember back in 96, I think it was, I took a bus down to New York City, and you have a layover sometimes. I was going on to Pittsburgh. So I came up in the middle of the bus terminal, train terminal, and everything is below Times Square, that area. And back then I came up, and oh my God, I mean, it was nasty New York. It was before the Giuliani, yeah. It was nasty New York. It was everything I dreamed of. I mean, you had to push your way through the hoes and the pimps. And I'm not even exaggerating. God, there was so many of them. And literally on the corner would be a police cruiser with two guys sitting in it, drinking coffee, having a spucky. Well, all this nasty lawlessness just swarmed around them, It was crazy. Where they now show The Lion King for the 57th consecutive year used to be these lady interpreter and Trump. The people who like to make money. Anyway, with the nylons and the hot pants, I didn't think they still had made hot pants. And you walk by and it's like, you want a date, baby? Oh, there. Come here, sugar. Oh, I loved it so much. So the next time, it was several years later, I visited again. I pop up in Times Square and it's changed. It's changed. It was so sad. It was so sad. And The Lion King at the time was in its 27th year. Umaga, Aliyah, whatever the foolishness is. They stole the Kimba the White Lion story, and if any of you seen both, you know what I'm talking about. So, my voice is so froggy and cracky. Oh, I got my coffee here. I've got some fruit. Isn't it funny? You don't start eating right, you get like viciously ill. So I got a banana, some grapes. Karen thought she heard me say yesterday that I had never eaten a grape. And I said, well, I probably have eaten a grape once. But no, never really. I drank wine. I've had jelly. But these things are awesome. I don't know what kind they're called. They look green. I'm just going to have one here because of my throat. Really good. It's sort of a lukewarm or room temperature Coke Zero. This is good. Not that I'm going to get anything from those pricks. But I did work for them for, I think, 8 years or so. Made good fucking money, tell you. Made good fucking money, yeah. So my back goes out to me. That was the bad one. Anyway. So, grapes, good. Banana. I always love bananas. I didn't think of anything else to talk about. Got 20 minutes in here. That's crazy. Just watching some YouTube now. Some guys, this company that, Tank Masters, they're on YouTube. They, New York, New Jersey. I mentioned them before. But what they do for cleaning up oil spills from leaking tanks and everything. God, the money that they charge. But I love it when the guy's talking about dealing with the insurance companies. Has anybody ever called up the insurance company and said, I have a claim, and they haven't turned immediately around and said, you're not covered? Before you even tell them what happened. No, you're not. I don't think you're covered. This guy talks about dealing with them, and he's been doing this for years. And he does not like libbity-bibbity at all. But I guess what happens is, there's a tag there. When you go to make the claim, the insurance companies hire another company, probably in hoping they can find some reason not to, honor your claim of, you've been paying insurance on the house for 30 years and never made a claim before. Insane. Really insane. Oh, did you see that fire down in Scituate? 8 houses, 5 completely destroyed. I mean, the fire was barely out, and they come in with front end loaders or heavy equipment, just trying to clear the way. Jesus Christ. Here's a crazy thing, and I know some people that are in the certain businesses know it. The worth is not in the house. It's not. It's in the land. The land's still there. I remember the poor guy that after the blizzard 78 in Hull, he went down and visited his house down there. And it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. It's funny how some houses get destroyed. And the house right next door would barely get damaged in that stupid storm. But so then he comes down a couple of days later and the house is gone. Like gone. Everything. Somebody had mistakenly marked it as to be destroyed. And how they did that when there was nothing wrong with it. And yeah, I guess it was the town of Hull had it torn down. And my God, I don't know how that guy, I don't know how long it took for him to get anything back, but God's sakes. So back to Steamtown for a minute. It's up in Vermont. I think it's Bellows Falls. I've been wanting to make a trip back up there. I guess we'll put that on the list. But we get the cruise coming up shortly. We get Chiller Theater coming up. One of the conventions we go to twice a year. Karen meets her beloved celebrities, and I go around to find somebody to I go and talk to them. I go find one of the celebrities that nobody's visiting, and then I just talk to them, and I kind of interview them. So I'm thinking I might try to ask them, maybe if I pay the $20 or $30 for the photograph, if I can interview them for a minute. But what I'm gonna do is this lady comes down there every year, and I buy coffee off her because it's Karloff coffee, as in Boris Karloff. It's his daughter, Sarah Karloff. And the last time I went there, I probably spent a half an hour sitting there talking to her, even as people came in. Oh, it's amazing, the stories and about her dad and everything is just incredible. One of my favorite actors, of course, of all time. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. God, that guy's voice that sang that song. But she told me the story about that when her father did that. It was crazy. He called her up from all the way from the West Coast and told her, I think I've done my best work. And I think you and the kids should sit down, and told them it was the night it premiered, I think in '66 maybe. But to say, I think I've done my best work. She said he loved doing it. He had so much fun. And he said it was the favorite thing he ever did. So a couple of years ago, we met Rodney Allen Rippey. And I probably mentioned him before. What a fine gentleman. What a fine. If I had the Hall of Distinguished Gentlemen at the time, I would have inducted him. I would have had to bring it to the board of directors, which is me and Karen. I would have had to send that out, the ballots out, which is me. But, what a good kid. What a good, not everybody ends up screwed up. And the last time we met, I met the kid from the Mighty Ducks that was the goalie. I've never seen that movie, so. But I'm repeating myself. I'm just repeating myself now because I like to talk about some of my favorite things. Then we're going to the race in Dover, Delaware. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Because, yes, I'm a big NASCAR fan. Me and Derek Lamar. He always picks Denny Hamlin to win the race. I still don't really have a favorite driver since Tony Stewart retired, from driving 8 years ago. It's been difficult. It's difficult. It was like my decision to never not be a New England Patriots fan. And 5 years later, they started winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. But, I picked the Cleveland Browns. And it's funny, I picked the Cleveland Browns when it was the other ones and Bill Belichick was coaching them, And I've tried to follow that ever since. But it's the same thing when, they're in the same division as the Patriots. So never get to see them. And I'm not going to pay extra to see them, because the Patriots have to always be on there. I don't know. Can't tell how the Red Sox look this year. I think I know 3 names on that team. And I'm just hoping that when Chris Sale throws his first pitch of the season, that his arm just doesn't fall off. Because that's about the only thing that hasn't happened. Somebody tell him to stop riding a bike. It's foolishness. He's 8 feet tall. He must look ridiculous. I mean, how big a bicycle do you have to have when you're 8 feet tall? I don't know. I'm going to eat some of my grapes. I'm going to watch the news. I'm going to drink my coffee. And I'm just going to try to relax for the day. One thing I got coming up is when I first had the idea for doing something like this was to talk to people about how they relax, how they straighten out their brain, how they meditate, say. And I hope to get to do that once I get out of the house, once my immune system doesn't want to give up on me, and see people again. Just little short interviews with people. See, I have my way of doing it, and I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And my way goes against everything that they tell you in every class, every book, everything. Because here's the thing about meditation. It's different for every single one of you. You have to find your own way to do it. If you try to do it like these instructors do it, it's not working for you because that's not your way. Come up with your own way. Come up with your own thoughts. Remember, think for yourself, people. Don't let the media think for you. And if I'm media now, maybe don't do anything I say, except think for yourself. Find out what works for you, I know what works for me. I'll share it with you and we eventually get to these things. But find out what works for you and really do that. Find out what works for you. And maybe have some grapes, a coffee, a banana. I've been feeding pancakes lately, but I haven't had them. The other night at dinner, I did have the mashed potatoes. So that's something I can't make. I really can't make. And it's funny, when Karen makes me coffee in the same coffee machine, then from when I make it, hers tastes better. I don't know why. It just does. So, all right, that's all for now. Sitting in my soft spot here. Wishing you all the best. Or most of you. Okay, all of you. See, the beard's going to be amazing this year. Ho, 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 ho. Now, if I can just get Karen to dress up as Mrs. Claus. Hope she didn't hear me. I never know when she's asleep or awake. But Santa Claus does. Take care. Be safe. Think for yourself. And carry on.